I am still not in the best conditions ever, but we got new informations about the upcoming update. First we got a Minotaur, then we got a fishing minigame like all the best games in the world, and today we got my favorite part, balance changes. We are gonna discuss together and speculate what are gonna be the balance changes for Fear and Hunger Termina!
Bones.
So, what do we know about this upcoming balance change? Basically, on the 14th of November, Mirror made a post on Twitter saying, "Balance tweaks. The biggest change goes to Black Smog. It will work very differently in the coming update. Otherwise, I tried to address most OP strategies some way. Not direct nerfs, but Leechmongering, Glass Shards, Dot Damage, Hardened Heart and Meat Grinder got some limitations. Now the only thing that we have to understand is, what are these limitations? And I guess we can start from Black Smog, in which Mirror itself told us what's gonna happen. Basically, you summon Black Smog now, and the smog independently blinds opponents on its own turns. We also have a little image of what's gonna happen in the battle. If you abuse the smog too much, rely on it too much, it will turn on you and starts attacking you too. For those that don't know, prior to this, Black Smog was just an instant blind everything on the opponent. But since now the smog is gonna be a new enemy, maybe this enemy is gonna target random body parts of the opponent to blind each turn. So you will not get instantly everything blinded, but you have to slowly get your way there, requiring you to have a consistent plan and to resist in order to gain the maximum advantage. Or, maybe, that's exactly what shouldn't happen. For how I see it, I think if the smog stays in the battle too much, it will become bigger and bigger, eventually reaching even your party. So, you either have to dismiss it before this happens by maybe attacking it, or your party becomes one of the possible targets of the smog. In my opinion, this could be a very good change, because at the current moment Black Smog is one of the most broken spells in the game. Accessible very early on, able to blind everything immediately, it's a little bit broken. Instead, if you had to control the smog on the field in order to gain advantage, it could actually be cool, but now you may be saying, but wait, if Black Smog becomes like this, wouldn't it just be better to use Glass Shards? And I would agree with you, but apparently even Glass Shards are gonna get some limitations. For those that don't know, Glass Shards is a very abundant item that you can find on the ground in a lot of zones, which when used is gonna blind the opponent. How is this gonna be changed? Apparently the developer indirectly told us in the comments that the Glass Shards are still gonna work the same, so they are still gonna be able to attack and blind a body part. But just abuse it too much and things might backfire. What could be the problem of using them too much? This is difficult, because my first thought was that, you know, since you are literally picking glass shards in your hand, you may get bleeding or infection on yourself. But would that really make people consider if they should use those? Like, the most important fights in which you may need to use glass shards will still be done in the same way. We need something that may leave consequences even after those battles. In that way, you get access to an easy victory, but for an equivalent exchange. My theory on this is a new status effect. I don't know how to call it, we're gonna call it Deep Wound, okay? While throwing the glass shards, some of them remain stuck in your body, and they cause the physical damage you take to increase by a certain amount. And this status is gonna have different stages. The more you use glass shards, the more it develops. And it can only be healed using a Sylvian Ritual Circle. In that way, you can use glass shards, but you have to think more about when. Am I gonna resist the attacks afterwards? Do I have Sylvian Skin Bible? Is it worth it to use glass shards at the start of the run? I don't think this could be the best fix, but I think it's a good compromise considering apparently Miro doesn't want direct nerfs. And as you will see in the other theories and speculations I have, I am always gonna try to avoid direct nerfs. With glass shards out of the way, we can go to the next item, Leechmonger Ring. This ring makes it so that every time you deal physical damage, it heals you for a certain proportional amount, and is most notoriously known for being a very easy way to deal with the platoon in Mazo mode if combined combined with Counter Stance and the Hardened Heart, in which you become literally immortal. Let me explain. If you use Counter Stance, you're gonna counter-attack all the physical damage you take, and the Hardened Heart, even though we're gonna discuss more about it later, basically makes it so that you're gonna survive attacks with 1 HP remaining. I think you can already see where we are going. If you take damage, you counter-attack and you heal. So you can take another damage, go to 1 HP, counter-attack and heal. So you can take another damage, counter-attack, heal. Damage, counter-attack, heal. Damage, counter-attack, heal, over and over again, until that stupid platoon dies. Even though Mirror wants to change the Lichmonger, I think the main part which will destroy the combo will be the Hardened Heart. So the change I would consider for the Lichmonger is... You remember the dried man on which we get the Lichmonger ring? It says he looks mummified for whatever reason. Now follow me. What if his life was sucked by the Lichmonger? I think you know where I'm going. Lichmonger is a parasite. As long as you kill opponents, he is gonna heal you. But if you don't kill anyone, he is gonna start taking revenge on you and sucking your life out. So in my opinion, Lichmonger will become non-removable and will give you negative regen in battle. It needs life, either yours or of the opponent's. In this way, it is still usable, but it's more controlled and isn't exactly a direct nerf to its main ability. Because yeah, I talked about this crazy combo, but the Lichmonger is pretty good even by itself. And since you know, in the first game we have very bad accessories which were non-removable, I think having something like this non-removable would make more sense. But now let's go to the second part of the combo, the Hardened Heart. Basically, how I told you, Hardened Heart makes it so that if you should take lethal damage, you will resist at 1 HP. Of course, if you're at 1 HP and get damaged, you're gonna die, but there is a peculiarity. If you take the exact amount of damage equal to your life, the Hardened Heart will not be triggered. But it's a pretty niche situation, and I think the Hardened Heart is still maybe the most strong accessory in the game. The easiest fix that comes to my mind is that it could be used once per battle. Honestly, it doesn't seem that bad to me. Also, considering in the game there is a skill called Sisu, which makes it so that the next time you take fatal damage, you stay at 1 HP. And this, as you may imagine, is literally a worse Hardened Heart, because you have to reapply the skill every time. Instead, if Hardened Heart was once per battle, not only it would still possibly find some usage, considering you can have 3 accessories, but also it would give a purpose to Sisu, so I really hope this happens. Or, now I'm gonna cook. Are you ready? I think another way to fix Hardened Heart is to not fix it. The reason I'm saying this is this could be considered a very late game accessory, which becomes very powerful later on. You have access to it later, you can gain benefit from it only later. But you may say, wait, you can buy it from Dr. Keffer immediately. That's the point. What if we remove it from Dr. Keffer's shop? This is the easiest way to get the Hardened Heart. The other 2 ways are waiting for night 3 or stealing it from a moon-scorched contestant. Even if it costs 99 shillings, that's just literally to delay the inevitable. You are still gonna get the Hardened Heart and become immortal. And I honestly don't think this dude should give you this amount of power. And the other ways to get access to it seem balanced enough in my opinion. The next change is gonna be done to dot damage. For those that don't know, dot is a damage over time. Damage that is gonna be dealt every single turn as a passive, for example poison, burn, bleeding, etc. This, both in Fear and Hunger 1 and in Fear and Hunger Termina, is very strong, especially against bosses, because it literally enables stall strategies in which you can just keep healing yourself to not die and wait for the poison to kill the boss. What are you playing, Pokemon? The reason for which this is broken is because the enemies are gonna die when their torso reaches a certain percentage of their maximum HP, and since dots do percentage damage, it literally means that enemies are at a tremendous disadvantage against those. I think the best way to fix this, which is also present in a single enemy in Fear and Hunger 1, would be to make it so that certain enemies have less chances of get burned, get poisoned, etc. I am of course talking about the tentacle monster. In fact, you can only poison or burn all the body parts except the torso with 10% chance. except if you use a purple vial, and the torso is completely immune to poison. So yeah, I think this could be two balanced way to fix poison. In this way, poison is still strong, but some enemies are just more resistant to it or completely immune. Like, in my mind it's really anticlimactic trying to think about a good plan and then relying just to dot spam. Also, if we dig a little bit deeper, you could also make it so that in higher difficulties you can adjust the parameters of the opponents so that you still have to deal the same amount of damage, but so that the dots deal less damage overall. But let's go to the final and the saddest point in this balance change, the meat grinder. There are three possible ways I see for fixing this weapon. The first one is technically a nerf, but I want to propose it regardless. Listen to me. Do you know the War Scythe in the first game? War Scythe is one of the strongest weapons available in Fear and Hunger 1, as it's able to attack all body parts of all opponents simultaneously, almost never missing. Or at least, this is how the weapon worked in the past versions. In the past versions, it had more attack and 98% weapon accuracy. And trust me, I replayed the old version in order to try this weapon, it was the best thing on earth. But currently it only has 30% accuracy. So, what if we reduce the accuracy of the meat grinder? Calm down, follow me. I think the meat grinder can still deal the same damage and the same number of attacks, but the thing that has to change is the consistency. Not saying it has to go to 30%, but maybe 60% or something, so at least one hit is assured, and then if you get lucky 2 or even 3 hits. I don't think this could break the weapon, you are still gonna deal with the mob eventually because you want to get rid of them. This is my least favorite way to fix it, but I still wanted to bring it up. Second way is make it so the meat grinder needs something like a gasoline canister to take advantage of the triple attack. Without the canister, it's gonna do one single attack, basically becoming pretty average. Would overall give it a limited amount of uses, yes, so you need to think about when to use it, keeping it specifically for bosses, or in case you are in a dangerous situation, just use it to get out of it. And then the third, which is my favorite possible change. Once you defeat the mob, the meat grinder is broken, and you have to craft it. Among the things you use to craft it, there is duct tape. Let me repeat. The meat grinder is held together with duct tape. So yeah, my last idea is make it so that in certain conditions the meat grinder can break during a battle, giving you back all the crafting items except the duct tape. Once again, giving you overall less uses, therefore needing to plan it for bosses and facing other opponents without relying on it always, basically becoming an exclusively boss killer weapon, we may say. And these are all the mentioned changes. On the other hand, I am more confused.
Why Spice Forge was a man?
Let me know what you think about these possible ideas of changes and even your ideas, and I will see you next time.